Hi YouTube, welcome back. That there is my AC unit, HVAC, whatever it's called, the Delanair Mk3 from the XJS, all back together and refoamed. Turned out to be quite a monumental project. It's taken me the best part of a month or two to get all this stripped down, defoamed, refoamed, and I've done a few other little maintenance jobs in there to hopefully make sure that I never need to go in there again. As usual, this video is not instructional. It is my ramblings and trial and error process with no instructions. So if you just jump in halfway through the video, you might see me doing something really wrong. Just warning you. For example, I actually foamed the entire heater core and then realised I needed to change the, well, it turned out to be the O-rings, not the gaskets. We'll discuss that later in the video. But yeah, which meant I had to unfoam the whole heater core for the second time. That was great. You don't want to be doing that. I'm sure I make some mistakes along the way, but hopefully by the end of it, which we're at now, everything's as it should be. Right, this is the air conditioning unit, kind of as it would be in the car. If I was sat here in the driver's seat, it would be positioned pretty much like this. That would be tilted back a little bit more. These are the vents that go out to the rear of the car. This is what feeds the centre and top. I'm not entirely sure. I've got it out of storage anyway because I'll just sort of pop it on there. I was a bit confused for a bit. I don't know what these are for at the moment. There's some C-clips there and I can't see what they attach to right now, I'll be honest, because that bit just sits down on top of there like that. I remember taking these two screws out. There's actually 3 screw holes, but only 2 of them are used. There's no hole there, as you can see. And then at the rear, it's just screwed into the plastic, 4 self-tappings. These are the last ones that I took out. When I was fighting to get the unit out, I could just pull it far enough forwards because the windscreen aperture is about here. So I pulled it forward and that allowed me to undo those and remove this part of the AC, the top vents. I'll just pop that down there. Oh, I forgot to say actually, just in case you didn't watch that video, just pop that back on there. So the top vents and the centre vent mechanisms in this bit are vacuum operated. So you can see these vacuum pumps here and there's vacuum lines in the car. I'm not going to pretend to understand exactly what everything does, but that's the motion. Seems like when that's open, these close, but they also have holes through them. Oh, there's more foam there. I never actually noticed that. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that. Fortunately, it looks in good condition, about the same as on the blower flaps. So there's 2 motors here because there's 2 moving parts within this unit and they're not vacuum operated, they're operated by motors. There's one here and one hidden away under all this wiring. We'll get to that in a minute. This top one here is sat here, and because it's not vacuum operated, I can't override it like I can the vacuum stuff and show you the motion. However, it's just 2 self-tapping screws. I actually assumed that when I took that out, this was going to come up and close this gap here. But it doesn't. It goes that way and it closes this rear gap here. So it moves in this motion like so. When it's there, there's actually an opening here. If I just stick my fingers, I don't know if you can see. Let me just turn the torch on. So yeah, with the torch on, if I stick my hand up here, you can see this is an opening. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend to understand exactly how the air flows around, but this depending on its position, either you've got a dirty grate hole at the rear or you've got a little hole at the front. So that's the thing. So to do that, we want it in its up position, and that goes there. We need to find the point where the flat goes in, and I just took these, two fiddly little screws, which I love to drop on the floor and lose. I've done that twice now. Let's not do it a third time. Right, it took me ages to get those lined up and started. I don't really know why, but I'm just going to nip those back up. So that's that motor ready to go again. And if I just take it off my head, I'll just turn the torch on again because everything's black in there. There we go. You can now see this other moving roller. So that was the top one that we were just playing with, and that comes round this way. And this one, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I think it rolls round that way, but we'll find out in a sec. That is driven from the same taper motor, but it's just under here, so we just need to pull this electrical board off. That is held on here by these two screws. There's a little tab, and that's held in there, so we need to undo those. There's a screw in the bottom corner here, and if I remember rightly, oh, there it is, yeah, there's one just up in there as well. So just undo those, and then this will flap out the way and give us access to that other motor. Last time, actually, I undid this completely, and I'm just thinking, if I just leave that brace loose, undo the other ones, maybe I can just slide it out. Oh, that's it. There we go. Yeah, you don't need to undo that one, and you don't need to undo that one. Just that bottom one, and then that will just dangle out the way. I'm learning as I go. And then we can do the same as we did on this motor. Just undo these two screws holding it in place. Drop them inside the vent. Let's keep those separate to the screw that belongs to the circuit board. So that goes like that. Right, and then when I pull that out, things are going to move, so I just need to set myself up. Right, so there's the other roller. The motor is this end. And if I just detach that, this should now move, and it goes in that motion and seems to block off or open up this passageway here. Like I said, I don't know if it does other things, but that's the motion. So if I just put that back there, I should be able to, whoops, just dropped it again. And then that's it in its ready to move motion. Yeah, it rolls down in that motion. So hopefully that's helpful for some people. I can't see any other air passages. So those, obviously those go down. This one feeds the rear of the car. So I'm guessing at the moment air can't go out of there. What does that do? I don't understand. Do you know what? I haven't got time or the patience to try and understand all the airflow dynamics, but they do a thing, okay? And then we should be able to relocate that in there. Hook. I just hooked that one on the back there. So I'm just going to nip that up and nip them up. And that one goes in this bottom right hand corner. So I hope that maybe explains some of what goes on in this part of the unit. Got that top roller and the bottom roller that do rolling things and direct the air in general directions. I don't know what these are for. Some sort of position sensors maybe. Anyway, that's enough messing about with that. My foam things have arrived. I've got some, what's this, 40mm? Don't know. Self-adhesive, whoops, where are you going? Self-adhesive foam for this kind of thing and this kind of thing. And also I've got some, what's that, about 1 inch thick foam for padding down the sides. And again, I know I think it was about that much. That stuff's not adhesive. I think the stuff that was on here was, so it was kind of stuck on, but I'm thinking maybe I could wrap it with this, go all the way around, or maybe I'll just press it up against it and put it in. I don't know is the answer, but let's start off with the padding down the other end of the water heater core thing. Which way does this go again? Right, there's my wiring for that sensor, so it's that way up. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is cut a bit out for that and that, so that sits nicely in there. And then once that plastic plate that's made up out of the two sections that lock together is on there, it shouldn't wobble about anymore. And then we'll put a couple of strips on the top and the bottom, and then that should be the heater core done. Right, you just shift out of there a sec. 12mm by 5mm. 12 centimeters by 5 centimeters is what I'm trying to say. Something like that. That doesn't look level at all. Oh, because that's not level. That's just been hacked off. Have I not got a square edge? Oh, right, I'm going to have to start again. That's looking perfect. Squidge that up against there. Something like that. It's quite dense actually, isn't it? I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, I'm going to have to thin that down, aren't I? Or order some that's not so thick and then wait another week for it to be delivered. Bollocks. I gave up with the heater core for a bit and moved on to the evaporator. See, I know all the technical terms now. I tried, I don't know what I've done with it now, but cutting a bit like this. I basically just realised this it's so dense you can't really squish it and it's too thick. So I went and bought some 13mm because this is 19mm, and then I realised I might not actually need that. This stuff's obviously the adhesive stuff on the roll, and what I'm thinking is, I've just done a test, I can layer it up because it's very sticky. So what I'm thinking is, there's a bit of trial and error going on here. Let me just cut that straight because I did not cut that straight before at all. That's better. So I think you can see what I'm thinking here. Basically just wrap it round. I'm going to go around twice. Actually no, I'm going to go around once because I only want one thickness down the sides, I think. Or the top and bottom, whatever. And then I'll see if I need to add some more at the sides, basically. So if I go something like that. Right, so that's one time around. So if I cut that there. Right, okay. So if I put another layer all the way around and then build up the layers on the sides, I think that'll work. Right, I skipped ahead a few steps, but I was just test fitting to check it'll go back together. I think I've put as much foam as I possibly can without putting too much on. It's now well and truly sealed up in this plastic box, so you should be able to see there I went round twice with this tape right round and then put another 2 layers on each side. It's not going in the corners like a thick bit would, because obviously it wants to pull round, but I really don't think that's going to matter. It is sealed up. Oh yeah, I can't put this back together until I haven't got the foam for here yet, you know, with the rods that slot in. I do need to wait for them. Can't remember if there was stuff down here as well. I need to check my photos. But anyway, that works and will close. I was a bit worried because it looked like it was bowing out a bit, but it can be put in there and clipped in. So for now, that's that. I'm going to fit this back plate just to hold it in place. So I need the back plate and these 2 screws. Yes, I had all this zinc plated, of course. This is Jaguar XJS OCD. After all, where's my... say my favourite screwdriver. It just is, just a good screwdriver. Right, that goes like that. I may need to take this off again later, but I just want it on for now, just to hold that evaporator in place. So hopefully once that catches the thing at the back, it should, yeah it is, draw the evaporator up to the back of this unit. I did put new C-clips in because the old ones were a bit corroded. I don't know if you saw that, but it just pulled the whole thing nice and tight up against the back. So that means I can then sit it like that and it's not going to keep wanting to push its way out. So that's a nice tight fit in there. I don't need to... ah, bollocks. I'm saying I don't need to take that back out, but I do, because I've got to wire up that thing that I cut, that I didn't need to cut because it's somewhere, I can't remember where I've put it now, the little probe thing. Hi YouTube, welcome back. Just a little required update on the air conditioning Evaporator. Wow, I remembered the name for once. In the full video where I was battling with all the foam, I cut off this thing here because I couldn't figure out how to get it out of the box or disconnected to get the actual evaporator out of that box. If you've seen the full video, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, a very kind viewer at Jaguar 5993, they pointed out that actually you don't need to cut it off because it just pulls out. Did not know that. I do now. Now obviously I've cleaned this up and I've given it a bit of lube. I used some WD-40 and now it slides in and out all lovely. So I just thought I'd add a little short in case people have watched the full video and are planning on doing this job. Hopefully you'll see this before you lop that off. You don't need to do that. Just get a bit of lube in there and this probe will pull out of the hole, allowing you to remove this load of nonsense. I'd done something I said I wouldn't do, and I didn't really want to, but there's no way I can get that shape correctly with these pipes on. The reason I didn't want to take these off is I believed there was a gasket in here that you can't get anymore. I don't even see any gasket there unless it was super thin. I'll just jump in here while I'm editing. So I had to go away and do a bit of research into this. There is no gasket in here. Originally, these heater cores were fitted with an O-ring, which you can actually see there. I didn't even realise it was an O-ring because it's that compressed and rock hard. It just looked like a bit of flared metal. Jaguar at some point then decided that those O-rings weren't great. They must have had a lot of issues with them failing. So they replaced them with a gasket. Those gaskets are no longer available. You can't get them anywhere. You can still get the O-rings. Rather stupidly, after I foamed all this and put it all back together, I've actually ordered some O-rings and then realised the only way I'd be able to fit those would be to take the whole thing apart unglue all the foam. I'd have to clean it back to brass again. I probably should, because the O-rings are clearly spent. You can't get the gaskets, so the next best thing would be to use the O-rings. I just realised I don't know which way up this is now. Does it matter? I'll worry about that in a minute. Let's just put another one of these end pieces on now. Let's pop these bits back on. First I need to just check whether it matters which way round this was. Well, it's handy recording everything I do, because I found that witness there and that mark there wasn't there, so I can work out that it was this way round. 2 grip washers per bolt. That seems a bit over the top. And they were just nipped up, so I'm just going to nip them back up. Right, carry on now with the next one of these, which I now need to weave around. I was hoping when I got to the circle ones I could slide it down, but of course I can't because of that fan inhibitor switch sensor thing. Oh, maybe. Don't stick to the pipe. Oh, that's not too bad. That went a lot better than I thought it was going to, I'll be honest. So let's see how that sits in there as it is. I think it's probably going to need a bit of padding down to the end. Yeah, I reckon we can get away with a little bit more padding down that end. In fact, I think I can run another time right round. So, a bit of an apology. I'm usually pretty good at organising all my millions of video clips. This time, not so much. I lost the clips where I was fitting the O-rings. I also did a whole section where I was contemplating making my own gaskets. I bought some gasket material. I actually sacked that idea off because although I could cut the gasket pretty accurately, I just couldn't do the holes for the bolts. I'd need, I think, a hole punch or something. I tried various different methods, but invariably I just tore the material. So I did sack that off eventually as well. The bottom line is that I fitted the O-rings in the end. I actually ended up taking all the foam back off this heater core at some point in proceedings to do that. So the clips got all a bit messed up, which is why I've lost stuff, because I kind of jumped forwards and backwards. This is quite a long time in the future from when you were previously watching. This now has O-rings fitted and it has been refoamed for the second time. That was fun, taking all the foam back off. It's pretty stubborn stuff. It does not want to just come off, despite only just being put back on. I do have what I'm going to use for the foam on the front of the, where is it? Evaporator. So let's tackle that. Let's get that job done. We've got 9 of these clips. That's 3 rows of 3. We've got these bars that I took off. I cleaned those up and gave them a polish. And then I bought some air filter foam, which I think is going to work perfectly there. So I just need to mark this up, cut it obviously along the bottom and up there, and then I think we just poke these, if I remember, these clip onto the actual rod like that, and then those poke through. Oops, don't do that. They poke through into the actual unit and sit like that. So they actually have to go. Do they actually go through the foam? I can't remember when I took this apart now. Right, I'll have a think about that after I've cut the foam. Just debating whether it would be better to do this with a sharp knife. Might get a straighter cut, but then again, it might just catch it and tear it. So this seems to be working fine. Okay. Now then, I forgot to think while I was doing that about how these are supposed to work. The issue is I can't see where they are when the foam's on there. I certainly can't put them in first and then, oh, unless I can actually. Let's just, ooh, don't rotate around. Let's just test that with one of them. Maybe I'm just going to be able to do that. I don't see why not. Oh, and let's pull the thing out with it. Don't break me foam straight away. Damn it. Make sure they're all located upwards. That one's at a completely jaunty angle. I can't get it out now. I'll have to do that with some pliers in a sec. Right, let me just grab a pair of pliers. Right, what's going on here? What's going on? That needs to be... There's a bit of old foam stuck in there. Let's try that. Right. Not sure that's in exactly the right place, but it's straight, so that's all that matters. So with all those pointing up, I think we're ready to go. By the way, I've just remembered I didn't film it. It was just a bit of bollocks soldering. I did put that unit back on, so I put the probe in. It was loose because I'd cleaned it up. It just kind of wanted to keep falling out. So I did stick a little bit of super glue and just to stop it. The downside of that means it'll never come out again. But to be honest, even though I thought after that guy told me and I found out that it just pulled out, I thought, oh, well, that was stupid of me cutting the wires. But even so, I don't know how on earth you'd get that probe out, because you'd kind of have to pull the unit half out, try and figure out how to pull the probe out whilst having no spare wire here. So I think probably cutting it actually was the easiest option, and I'd probably actually do that again if I had to take this off again and just cut the wires, because there's no working room in there anyway. I don't know. Hopefully I'll never be in here again, but I'm just trying to explain. I'm not really happy with that edge. That edge is lovely and straight, and that edge is shit. That's more like it. Right, let's put my lovely polished rods back on. Oh, there's one. Where is it? There. Two. Well, that's making it stick up. Ugh, this is a minefield of not knowing what I'm doing. Come on, where's that third one? There. Well, what's all that about? I'm not happy about this. That's just crap. Ooh, I know what I can do. Where's that tape at? Some thin, double-sided sticky tape, which I should be able to run just along there. I mean, I guess I'm covering up a very small amount of fin here. Where are those nice scissors at? These are actually my late grandmother's, no they're not, my late grandfather's first aid scissors. They're proper dressing cutting scissors and they're very good. They don't bind up or anything, they just work. No one can make anything properly anymore, can they? They were probably made in the 1950s or something and they're still working brilliantly. Right, so if I take that, I should have done that before I stuck it down. It should be double-sided stuff. It's trying to peel it off without it lifting up. Right, that's holding that down. I think I'll do the same along the bottom. Otherwise, I mean, if that's doing that, there's kind of no point to it being there, surely. Probably doing something wrong here, but why am I using the shit scissors? The shit modern scissors. Let's use the good old-fashioned scissors. That looks pretty good to me. I know we've lost 0.1% finnage there doing that, but I don't think it should be flapping about, and that's definitely not going to flap about now. That's caught that foam well and truly. The rods are in, it's all shiny, it all looks brand new. That makes me happy. That's done. Done with wiring. We did that before. I'll put in this expansion valve once it's through the bulkhead, so we'll cover that in another video. That is the evaporator all back together. I think it's these screws with the, judging by the recess in the plastic. Will you stop rolling away, please? So let's go with those. I can always change them if they're wrong later. So that, and there's one more tucked away just behind this fan inhibitor switch thing. There we go. Right, that's that. Let's connect these wires up. Ugh, I'm gonna have to watch my own video. I can't remember if black was on the bottom or the top. I'll go away and confirm that, and I'll put it on the screen whether I got that right or not. I'm going to disconnect this temperature switch or whatever it is. So with it this way up, the orange and black goes at the top. I think now it's just a case of lifting this jobby on here. Which way around are we? We can tell because it's got this flared out shape here, and I have got it the right way around, so that's handy. We now need the clips, which are in here. Oh, and there's one in my car. I must go get that, because for the first time ever, he was so apologetic. The zinc plater that I take my stuff to. 1, 2, should be 3 of them. Where's the other? Don't tell me I've lost a screw now. I was just going to say, the guy I take my zinc plating to lost one of these, but then he found it. He was very apologetic. I couldn't quite explain to him how it wasn't important, because it doesn't matter if I'm missing one of these. You can't see it. They don't even need zinc plating anyway. But he's used to me being incredibly OCD about everything, so I think he shit himself that this was super important. Well, I'm quite annoyed at myself there. There should definitely be 3 screws with that, unless there's 3. No, it should be 4 for those ears and 3 for that plate. Aha, you little shit. There you are. I knew there was 3. hate losing stuff. Right, what was I doing? Going and getting the clip out of the car, and then we'll click the... in fact, I'll do these now, because I've got to take the ladyship to work anyway, and then I'll get the other one out of the car. I don't think it matters which way up these go. Because I can't get my finger in there. I remember doing this on a trial run. Oh, I've obviously got better at it. So I just need to put that one on. Let's connect up. Does that go the other way, does it? Yeah, it does. Okay, that's that. That goes off to the car. That goes to the blower motor. I know that much now. And on the other side as well, we've got blower motor, and that's the external temperature thermometer-y thing. That we identified as the thing that's in the passenger underscuttle. The other day when I made a video about removing the air conditioning unit, I came across this cluster of wires going to a white connector, and I couldn't remember what it was for. So I went away and did a lot of thinking, and then remembered years ago I removed this device from the passenger side underscuttle area, and it turns out this is a in-car temperature sensor. It's also called an aspirator. It's got a kind of fan mechanism that aspirates, whatever that means. Oh, I need to put that earth back on. What are you, an 8mm? I think it's telling me it's an 8mm. Okay, that's on there. Connected up that one. I've connected up that one. Car. That goes onto some loom in the car. Oh, I need to connect that up. Don't remember undoing that one. I remember undoing that one. That was under tape, and I've taped that back up. That goes back like that. Why is that so flappy and loose? Obviously, we've got our drain things. Will go on. I'll put them on. Well, I'll put them on now, just for fun, just for the final build shot of everything back together. I'm pretty sure I put it in here. Yes, there it is. Okay, the last clip. Right, let's fit this last clip. That's the other side, isn't it? Right, let's fit this plate. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 screw holes, and that will need to line up. Oh, do you know what I didn't do? Do you know, I don't think it matters. I just remembered when I split the case, it was actually held in with some sealant, wasn't it? Ah, damn it. I'm going to sit and think about whether I'm bothered about that. I split the box again. Let's be honest, I was never going to not reseal that. That would have driven me nuts. There's also another reason, though. I just, in another shot, you just saw, fitted this, and that's no good. Whether that would actually rattle like that whilst I was driving, I don't know, but I'm going to make sure it doesn't right now. The Range Rover is terrible for it. There's all sorts of creaks and plastic noises and stuff. It's just so irritating. So I don't want that. I was just thinking maybe I could build up with some layers of foam behind there until the rattle's gone. I decided in the end pressing it up against the back wasn't really going to work, because the only thing really holding this in place is a rather crappy little screw into a bit of plastic, which, to be honest, has already started to split before I even got to it. So I have just run a couple of lines of sealant down there, and then that's going to stick it in place, and then that screw is just additional strength. I just need to only get to put this in once. So it needs to go in like that. And that will stop that rattling. That's actually rattling as well. Oh, he's so annoying. Right, I've just put a little bit of sealant on the back of that unit as well, because that just slots in at the bottom there. It's kind of hard to film at this angle. And then there's just a little locating screw. I should have got rid of all the rattles from that area. So that's good. Right, so now I've got to run a nice tidy line of sealant all around here. Right, I've done a line all round. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work out with the holes for the cable ties, but we'll cross that bridge later. Only going to get one go at this, so I'm going to shut up and concentrate. Right, I'm just going to leave that now for the sealant to go off. It's a while later and the sealant went off, so I clipped everything together, did all the cable tying again, and that is that unit all done. The only job I've got left to do, I think, is to stick a bit of that seal stuff on the back of the door on the top vent. I'm not entirely sure what this does, because there's always a gap. It's designed to leave a gap. But anyway, when I took it apart, there was some foam on there that was crumbly disgustingness. So I'm just going to replace that. Okay, Mike, that might make life a bit easier. Right, yeah, I must make sure I don't go right up to that top edge with any sticky backing. Last thing I want it doing is sticking itself open during use at some point. I forgot, there is one last job. I need to put the label back on. Now, most people won't do that. That came off during the cleaning process. It's got some important numbers on it and stuff, and this is Jaguar XJS OCD, and one of the things I like to do is make sure that I replace all labels, and I'll show you how I do it. Just before I do that though, mainly because I need some desk space, I'm just going to pop the top vent on. So that literally just sits on here, 2 screws at the front, 4 screws just going into plastic at the back. In fact, they're all just going into plastic. And I'm going to remove these C-clips only because, like, they're just flapping about. I don't know what they're for. They probably have some purpose on a different model or something. I can't see any use for them. Wrong way around, dumbass. I can't see any use for them on this particular setup. So I'm going to remove them because it's just asking for them to come loose and fall off into the unit, to be honest. Unless I'm missing something. Don't know, you can see them in there. 2 there, 4 there, 1, 2, 3, 4 along the back. And that is that. Right, let's get this label done. So what we need to do is, I've got some double-sided sticky tape here. Sticky tape. Double-sided sticky film. And it's incredibly hard to find the end, but in about 3.5 hours I will have located the end. I do believe I have it. Right, so that side is sticky, and we want to be fair, I should iron this to flatten it out, but there are limits to my insanity. I think it will probably flatten itself out, which it has. Don't stick to me. So now I've got a nice, pretty much laminated label. We'll just go around and trim it out. Just round off the corners, make it look slightly more genuine. I've done this on the subframe labels. They're still hanging on in there. I know I don't drive the car very much, but it just protects them, weatherproofs them, and then, you know, it's just there. I don't know where it was originally. I think I'll stick it there on the what do you call it, circuit board. I did the same, for example, on the air conditioning unit, and that has actually come back to help me because I couldn't remember what refrigerant these earlier air conditioners took. I didn't know if mine was up to date or whether it was the annoying old R12, which you can see, if it would focus, you could see there, which is a bit annoying because you can't get that anymore. But anyway, the information was still there is what I'm trying to say, whereas if I just discarded that label, it wouldn't be. There we go, found it. So let's just pop that nice and tidily above the other label, like so. If I ever need the part number, or heaven forbid I ever sell the car, the next owner's still got his label. Well, that turned into rather a monumental project, removing the foam. I've just laid it out on the table just so you can see and remind yourself of how everything goes. The blowers each side. Obviously I haven't got the plastic cups out of storage that screw in and locate the blue vents. I'm not going to put this back in the car now because I need to get the welding done. I do have some news about that, hopefully coming up in the next video. I have covered taking off and refitting the blowers in a previous video, and I have covered removing the unit, this aircon unit, in a previous video. So I guess replacing it is just the reversal. We will find that out together in a future video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video for hopefully some big updates on the welding. See you then.